Reddit by Reddit recap. What's a bad thing everyone should experience once? NSFW. A relationship with a superficial, pretentious person makes you appreciate humble people even more. Being in a physical fight with another person, best to do it while you are young. There are much less consequences. It is always scary, but it will help you understand how to handle confrontation better in the future. You will see it never happens like it does in the movies. Watching someone die. When I watched my grandmother die, I looked at my dad holding her hand. At first I thought to myself, I'm going to do the same thing too. Then I thought, someone is going to watch me die too. It was at that moment that death no longer scared me. Starbucks coffee black. It'll make you appreciate paying $4 for the whipped cream and frou-frou to cover up the ashtray taste, as well as making you appreciate a decent cup of black coffee. Being at the mercy of someone else after you've done something to deserve getting your ass whooped. I'm not saying everyone should experience getting bashed, but I think there are a lot of people out there with attitude problems that have never experienced the consequences of their actions. A little fear can be enough to make people think twice before being d-heads to others. Again, I am not advocating violence, but the stomach plunging into your feet because you know you done ducked up by being a tool to someone that isn't having your writ, that I think is a valuable lesson in how not to behave as a human being. Having a terrible roommate flatmate. It really makes you appreciate future living situations, especially with a so. The moment of panic and the lingering feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're driving and narrowly avoid what could have been a disaster, not even necessarily your fault. Things like braking for a deer, or a car not seeing you in their blind spot and changing lanes into you and you have to hit the horn. Something that reminds you that no matter how much time we spend driving and how easy it usually is, vehicles are ducking dangerous and you don't want to get careless. Something that reminds you why driving deserves your full attention the entire time. Being a server and waiting on a table of people that treat you like a servant. Heartbreak being broken up with. It's awful, but I think an important growing experience. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Kind Redditor. Getting stuck somewhere far from home late at night and having to find your own way back teaches you a lot of methods that might be useful in a bind. Hard labor and working in customer service. Doing LSD or shrooms in a safe, friendly environment. Take public transportation. I know a ton of people who've never taken it. I personally find it kind of soothing. Except when I am taking the bus home from work in the morning, i.e. right now. If I could drive, I'd be at home and in my bed. Working in hospitality and being harassed by an obnoxious customer for some minor inconvenience. Geez, I don't want to be that person. But half of these are just shitty experiences that no one should actively go to experience. Someone put have a shitty relationship. What the hell would I want that for? Some of these are as good as saying, well, everyone should experience getting shot by a gun. So you know what it feels like. Like it, people, not every bad experience is worth having or a learning experience. A real life failure. There are some people who can be supported through life without properly feeling the consequences of failure. But until you actually fail at something, you won't truly succeed either. I think it's important to get used or ripped off once by a supposed friend. My son, when a teen, would believe anyone, any story, any hard luck tale. Then came the day a friend sold him fishing poles for way too much money and he dropped them off. They didn't have any reels on them. My son was so hurt and pissed. I felt bad for him. But he never forgot that lesson. Be careful who you call a friend. Minor car accident, so that you understand, even if nobody is hurt, how quickly it happens. How hard the cars jolt on collision and how much hassle it is to get through the insurance etc. It's happened where two drivers have driven into me in the past. I drive with real caution for months afterwards and am extremely attentive to the road as a result. Being humiliated for being an asshole. Some people need this to happen more than once. Laying a beloved pet to rest. I had to say goodbye to my best friend of 15 years. My yellow Labrador. This past Monday. Worst day of my life. I don't know if I can ever have another dog as they will never measure up to him and I never want to go through this again. He slept by my bedside every night and every night I would reach down to pet him before going to sleep. Now he isn't there. Go hug your pets. Live on a service job minimum wage for a year. No parents as a safety net. No rich friends you live with. No big savings account you can dig into if you really need it. Nada. None of that. Haha, yeah, I totally know what it's like. My lawyer parents made me wash cars and teach yoga for a while to get real world experience. No. You need to feel a real, present threat of being homeless. Nothing but a ratty job at Popeyes between you and the streets. Know what it's like to run down to the plasma center and sell your blood for gas money. Have to make up excuses to not go out with friends tonight because your paycheck got lost again. Put up with your friends' snide comments when you only eat half your 10 inches pizza and box the rest for home because you'd like to have lunch tomorrow. Know what it's like to have your employment put at risk by some snot-nosed rich teenage customer who decides your service wasn't fast enough. Failing at something. Because after that you'll grow and be able to 1. Achieve more. 2. Use it as motivation. 3. Know that failing is okay. For men. Unwanted sexual advances. Catcalling etc. First time it happened to me I was like, what if Grossy McGrossface didn't leave me alone at a bar and then berated me for being worthless while all her gross friends laughed at me? Eye-opening. Running through fields of wheat. So naughty. Almost too naughty. For many men. A finger in the ass. But for good reason. Get your prostates checked. A death experience. You never really appreciate the finite nature of your own life until you've breathed what you believe to be your last breath. Then to have the brain go into panic mode. Images flashing and a strong inbuilt survival mechanism kicking in. Forcing every part of yourself to fight for life to then have it all go black. You wake up exhilarated. Like nothing I've ever felt since or before. The air on your skin that you've never realized before. The feeling of air filling your lungs as you breathe. The smells and tastes are all amplified. It lasted for at least a year. The urge to savor every little thing in life and see all the previous annoyances as petty and meaningless in the grand scheme of things. It also puts into perspective the sheer terror of death, and I believe it gave me a greater level of sympathy for those that are not as lucky. I think everyone would be a lot less violent and warmongering if they had felt the emptiness of death. Indifference from complete strangers when you are in a time of need. It seems oddly specific, but can really be translated in many settings. From being stranded and trying to hitchhike home to begging for money for your next meal. Given some time, you realize a lot of people are ducks. A lot are simply ignoring you completely. And some will go far out of their way to help. It helps you be a better person. Getting rejected by a girl. After the first time. It's so much easier. Being broke. You appreciate what little you have and what it's like to earn hard-earned money. Edit. Thanks for the gold. First gold ever. Poverty. Will make you appreciate what you have at least a little. Working in retail and or food service. Working those jobs really changes your perspective on what is an appropriate way to behave in those environments and shows you that many people have no idea how to behave appropriately in them. Cashier bagger here. You have no idea just how rude, lazy, inconsiderate, nasty, and just downright mean people can be until you work in a customer service job. It really makes you appreciate genuinely nice people a whole lot more, and shows you just how many people weren't raised right. I can tell stories for days about the it I see on a daily basis. For example, one time I had a lady complain to my office manager, co-manager, and store manager. I was on a register that day, saying that my customer service was awful and that someone should have trained me better. All because she didn't have enough money to pay for her stuff. Luckily, 2 of them saw the whole thing and politely told the lady that she was a moron and I had done nothing wrong. The next customer in line also saw the whole thing and told them, my managers, that I was the sweetest cashier at the store. Good times. Best comment of the day. I have never worked in a fast food restaurant, but I still know how to behave. Since I just behave how I would like people behaving towards me, I've really only lost it once, and that was a really fucked up day to begin with. But to top it off, when I went into Subway, the girl who made my sub didn't speak the language and put curry dressing all over the sandwich after I told her what I wanted. When I told her that it was the wrong dressing, she started trying to remove it with a piece of cucumber or something. I think I told her a bit more harshly than I should have that she would have to make a new sandwich because I don't want it tasting like curry. After that I asked for ordinary tap water from the guy at the register. He didn't know how to speak the language either and didn't understand what I wanted. After several failed attempts where he tried to give me bottled carbonated water, soda, juice etc., I snapped and pointed at the faucet behind him and worded as clearly as I could with a raised voice water from that. This was not in English BTW. I'm not proud of that, but I'm still salty over places with customer service that hire people who cannot communicate in the local tongue. It's all for skewing the statistics of how well our immigrant integration works.